Well, you all might be wondering what this has to do with crafting. Well, I like what is it, the dried, with Sweet Annie? And it's hard to get right now because everybody's grew it and dried it and sold it out. So I ordered some seeds and I planted my own, as you can see, 319, and this is, oh, we're in April, middle of April. Maybe not quite the middle. I don't remember what it is. Anyways, they've come up enough that I need to repot these. Now let me tell you, the packet that I had was 50 seeds, and it come in a little cellophane packet like that. And the seeds were so small that you couldn't even hardly see them. I mean, they were like a grain of salt or smaller. And I couldn't tell when I was trying to plant them one by one. There wasn't any way. So I just took 3 pots and sprinkled seeds in them, and then I just kind of barely covered them. I didn't really cover them. And then I used a mister to spray them. And now they've got up to where I can repot them. So I'm going to repot them, and I'm going to plant them in the garden. And we're going to see if I can get some Sweet Annie. So far, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It looks like 13 or 14 plants. And I'm going to try repotting them, and I hope they live because there's too many in one pot. I probably should have done a little earlier. I'm going to be really careful and break them apart. We're wanting to grab one another. Okay, there's going to be one. There's one. Oh, come on. Let go. Okay, I'm going to repot them. Oh, I see a little one coming up there. Oh, well, I don't need it. They say, I think these get like 5 or 6 feet tall. They grow big. They go taller than I am, way taller than I am. And after they get so big, at a certain stage, at the end of the growing season, you harvest them and tip them up, hang them somewhere and let them dry, and you have Sweet Annie to use in your crafting. So I'm gonna, well, there was some little roots. But I'm hoping they survive the transplant. But I'm gonna continue on, and I'm gonna do all these and put them in there in my little greenhouse system or set up. I got 2 greenhouses, little greenhouse tents, and I've got the other one out and put together and getting ready to set it up because I'm going to have to do it too, because I do have like my tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. Oh, I have a bunch of flowers started. I just started those about a week ago. They're already coming up. Because I'm telling you what, flowers are expensive this year. Holy moly, I am glad I looked at the price of them and I thought, huh, I am glad I planted some seeds and have them coming up, because I sure couldn't afford very many of them. Okay, there's one. Now I'm going to move on and repot all these others. And hopefully by the end of the season, some will survive and I'll have some Sweet Annie for my crafting. Well, it's kind of hard. I'm having to face the window, but here's all of them repotted, and I ended up with 14 plants. And then over here, I repotted my tomatoes, and they're straggly. I need to get them out, but I can't right now. It's still too cold at night, and the wind's been blowing so bad I can't even harden them off and take them outside. It would just blow them away. And most of these are tomatoes. And then over here, I have pepper plants. And I need to get them repotted because I have 2 or 3 in a pot. And then these are the flowers that I planted. I think those little bitty ones back there, I think that's some rose moss. Not sure. And there's some dill. I have some herbs in here too. And then more pepper plants. And these are flowers and herbs. And these down here are flowers and herbs. So, I'm hoping my sweet Annie survives at least a couple plants, so I'll have something. We'll see. I'll check back with you tomorrow and let you see how they're looking. If they're looking droopy, that's scary. But at first, when they're first transplanted, they will look a little droopy. But after a day or so, if they're going to survive, they usually come out of it. Okay, I'll let you know on how they're doing tomorrow. Well, guys, they're looking pretty good. I think they're going to make it. Well, this is going to be a little smaller video because I'm just going to do one craft in this one. And I found this I saw it on Pinterest and I thought it was really cute. And I thought it'd be cute to take to the craft show. So I went and got a board. And I always do this. Forget to get measurements. Of course, I just saw a picture. So I just done my own. And my board was, I think, let me get this, a 5-inch wide. And then I made it, let me go across here, hopefully it'll stay on there, 27 inches long. So 5 by 27. And then I just went and cut the arrow. It's going to be an arrow. I just cut this. I just got a piece of wood and laid up by it, you know, and figured out the angle. It's probably 5 that way too. Let's see. Let me try that. Well, I can't get it one-handed. Yeah, it's 5. And then I made it how long? Well, let me pull this out and hang on to it. About 10 1/4, 10 1/2. 10 1/2 long, and then 5 inches tall. And made my triangle to go on there. And then I'll attach it. I went and got in my junk pile, and I'll attach it using, of course, I'll put wood glue on there and let it dry well. And then I'll put this on with screws. Now I'm going to go to my Silhouette software studio and design a stencil for it. Okay, now I'm cutting out the stencil for my sign, and it's Farmers Market, and I wanted the farmers in cursive, so I had to find a stencil font in cursive, and I can't remember which one of these I used. I either used the Be Pretty stencil font, which is Bepritty, and you can get that off of dafont.com, or you can get it off of Creative Fabrica. And then the other font that is cursive is called BFC Salted Butter, and I got that from the Silhouette Studio store. And I can't remember which one this one was, but I'm pretty sure it was the Be Pretty stencil. And then the market font, there it came up. It's the LW Stencil Slab. And I got that. I think you can get that on dafont.com. But I got this one out of my Silhouette store. This one up here, I had to weld it. Once you do this, it comes in little lines where they're separated, and you select them all and you weld them. And then on the F, I picked out a totally different font because I didn't like the F. On whichever one it was, I didn't like the F, so I just found an F that I liked and took the one off and put this one on there. So now I'm going to cut this out with my Cameo, and I'm using a 12 by 12 sheet of stencil film. And when I do this, I don't have my studio turned, or my Cameo turned on right now, but I'll come over here and I'll go down to, I think there's a stencil material. Yeah, there's a stencil material. But I always, it's set on 3, a cut blade of 3. I always push it up to about 7. And I do 3 passes just to make sure it's cut good. And I've never had any trouble with it being that, with these settings. But at 3, it just doesn't, I have to do too many passes. So now I'm going to turn on my Cameo and load my stencil film on a mat and cut my stencils. All right, instead of using like what I normally do, a makeup sponge and pouncing it on with black paint, I'm just going to take it out to the garage. I have it all taped down and just spray it with this matte black. Well, I have this spray painted on, and when it dries a little more, you can see it's a little wet. I'll take it out and probably just sand it just a little bit, but I have this where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and drill some pipe for my screws. I know my head's in the way. I'm going to get my glue and put on here and then connect that. Where's my glue? Okay. I'm just using this Fix All Adhesive Super Glue. I got it at Dollar Tree. Okay, now I gotta put this back on there and see where I have it ready to go. Where my holes are. All right, right there. May not be the correct way to do it, but it's the way I'm doing it. I might get my heavy-duty stapler when I get done and put some staples from there to there on the back. We'll see. And I'm not going to do all of this on camera, but I'm just trying to show you what I've done and how I'm doing it. Yeah, just put that in there. Because I can't see very well, and I've got my head in the way. Some things are hard to do on camera. Okay, I just sprayed some, well, I was going to use that color there in the spray, and I accidentally picked up the black and sprayed it in there. Well, that's fine. So, I'm just going to go over the screws with that. I used a paintbrush I didn't care about. I'll let that dry good, and then I'll use the cinnamon and glue. Then after all that dries, I'll take it out to the garage and give it a good coat of clear. But I'll sand this just a little bit. As you can see where it got a little hazy right in there. But actually it just looks like a pallet sign or an old sign. Alright, I'm going to let that dry and keep going with it. I don't even think I need to go over it with the cinnamon. Unless it'd be to lighten it, because that black and rust color that I mixed together in the lid looks rusty. I mean, it looks darker on camera than it does out. but they look rusted. Now, here it is finished. I brought it outside and set it up on the railing so you could get a better shot at it because it was so dark in the house. And I wanted to show you, you know, when I was putting the spray paint in that little cap and I sprayed the black with, accidentally in with the rust red spray paint, it worked perfect. I mean, it is identical color to my hinge. So that worked out really well. It was an accident, but it worked. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to hang it on my back porch and point it towards my garden because during the summer, that is my market. All right, guys, until the next one, we'll see you later.